All right, hey everyone, this is Ash. Welcome back to the King's Speech. So I think I've finally managed to find a fix for the lighting issue going forward. So hopefully the screen and everything should be bright enough now. No, I'm not going to mess with the camera angle on this video, but I'll try to fix the camera angle to be a little bit lower probably for the next few videos. But yeah, I haven't done a video for a while, so kind of excited to dive back into this. Uh, as I've seen made mention on Twitter numerous times this week, apparently spoilers were abounding, but thankfully I didn't get spoiled, and everyone seems to be super duper excited that One Piece is going to going to reach 1,000 chapters relatively soon, which is a milestone I cannot imagine at this point getting to, but well, we'll see if it lives up to the hype. But without further ado, let us dive into One Piece chapter 989. I Can't Imagine Losing, with Gang Bej's All My Family, volume 33. Like, I have proof. I'm totally your father, guys. And you see Pound just opening up this locket, which is just a picture of Big Mom, I assume, kicking him out of their wedding room after the wedding night and everything was done, and she's born his children. And you see these two squalling babies sitting in the bed next to her, looking miniature next to a gigantic Big Mom. I don't know how Pound took this picture. Like, was he just snapping a photo as he was getting picked up, being like, I need this for posterity? But again, I don't know why Oda is dragging out this cover story. It again feels like he's waiting to reveal something in the manga itself that's relevant to the cover story. But I don't know. At this point, I don't know how many more times this can go on for. But as usual, we have translation Stephen Paul, lettering by Vanessa Satone. We pick up where we left off last time with, they're done for. Those people are finished. They ran over Big Mom with the motorcycle. She'll be furious. We gotta get out of here. And you see, I think, is that Nami going, thank you, big bro, as they're doing the whole happiness in the background. And Frankie's just sitting there stylishly. You see Big Mom knocked down, and Napoleon's going, Mama, Mama. And you see things are really kicking off. It's like, are you okay, Nami? In the background, you see Hyogoro clashing with one of the, gifters, pleasures. One of the dudes chops his the handle off his axe. And you have Jinbei going, this is taking a turn for the chaotic. Help me out, Nico Robin. Certainly, just give me orders. And you see Nami just hugging Frankie, who's looking displeased that Oda's canonizing the one true ship, which is Jinbei Robin. I'm so glad we can finally lay Frobin to rest. And you see Luffy going, nice one. I knew I could count on Frankie. Now I'll head off to where Kinemon is. And he sees Tutum as he's rushing up to the little supporting towers. And you see, oh boy, Shinobu running away scared from Yamato's chasing him, or chasing her. And Luffy's going, don't worry, Shinobu, he's an ally. And Shinobu's like, Luffy Toro. He's like, you can trust him. And you see, I still don't know what Oda's going for with Yamato and this whole, like, I am Oden thing, because now you have a panel of, like, Yamato, like, blushing, be like, Kozuki Momonosuke, I'm Oden, I will protect you. And both Shinobu and Momo are just looking at him in shock, being like, what the hell are you on about? Like, what is wrong with you? Kind of adding to this idea that Yamato's delusional, but I guess we'll talk about that at the end of the chapter. And you have, wait up, why are you running away from me? As Shinobu just takes off again with Yamato in hot pursuit. As you have smoke escape jutsu. And you have a whoa and a ya as Luffy does his arm stretchy thing and climbs up onto the top towers. And below you have Big Mom, thankfully not into another amnesia moment, turning into Olin, going, you straw hats just keep popping up one after the other. And you see her getting all mad. So you have, Big Mom's about to rampage. And all the gifters are like, let's get out of here. So you don't want to get caught in the middle. As they're all running away. And Hyogoro says, we won't get anywhere against numbers like these. Ha, ha. Let's go after those Tobi-Roppo dinosaurs Denjiro told us about. We might not beat them, but we can at least slow them down. I don't think that was one of the other Yakuza guys talking. As Hyogoro goes, true, we're just wasting our time dealing with these low-level drunks. And Big Mom goes, we meet again, Soul King. I have to say, your crew has so many rare and fascinating creatures. And Rick just kind of tips his hat. He's like, yo, you have fine taste. Frankie's like, you like my metal bod, Grandma? I was like, yeah. It's got Frankie the cyborg. It's like, my name's Frankie, I'm a cyborg. It's like, I'm fascinating too. And tough. He's Tonka tough, in fact. And Nami goes, we have to get out of here, Frankie. She's an emperor. And Frankie's like, run away from an emperor of the sea? You even trying, Nami? Do you want to make our captain the king of the pirates or not? And he steps up to do his whole radical beam on as he's standing on top of the motorcycle. And Big Mom's like, huh? Did you have an ah? So it looks like Big Mom's pulling up one of the homies in front of her as a shield to protect herself. And you have an ee? You know what? It's like, what are those monstrous things? He's like, hey, this isn't your feast area. And you see, it's the numbers of ja, kiki, kiki, kiki. It's like, ja, kiki, kiki, kiki. It's like, and they're totally hammered. It's like, go, kiki, kiki, kiki. It's like, this is the worst. So I think it's number 10. I'm trying to think of what Ja is. Ja might be 6, I want to say. Yeah, I don't know. So that's my guesses on it. As you see the numbers, and you see that they look very much like their silhouettes, very much where the wild things are kind of vibes. As you have one that has like a wolfish kind of snout with these 2 curved horns, one that looks like an Oni with the 2 tusks sticking out, 2 more horns sticking out, one looking the same as that one, all of them carrying clubs. One of them's got General Frankie in his arm as he's just carrying it around, or I guess it's just the Brachio tank as he's carrying it around. Jeff, this is the worst, as they just come stomping in. And you have Carrot going, eek! And Frankie going, reminds you of Thriller Bark. And Nami's freaking out, going, they're ore-sized, what are they? And so you have Big Mom looking excitedly going, so, those are the things Kaido bought from Punk Hazard. The failed attempts at ancient giants. I like them. So I got confirmation on what the numbers are. I'll talk about it at the end of the chapter. You have Frankie going, wait a second. Look what that monster's holding. You see, the Brachio tank. Usopp and Chopper are in there. He goes, let go of that, you giant mole. And he does a radical beam right into the face of the number holding him. He goes, jockey! As he falls back with a thump. And you see, a laser beam! And Big Mom goes, was that the target you really wanted to hit, Iron Man? And she's about to swing down with Napoleon on him. And he's like, behind you, Frankie! As Frankie looks around in shock and anger, you see Jinbei coming into the rescue as he jumps behind Big Mom, grabs her arm behind her back, and goes, Fishman Judo? And Robin goes, Millfleur, Whirlpool shoulder throw. As you see Jinbei just grabbing her, whipping her around, and Robin sprouts arms out of the ground. Grabs Big Mom, starts doing the circle thing, and she starts throwing her out and rolling her. And you have Big Mom goes, how dare you, Jinbei? I'll kill you too for what you did to my fleet. And he goes, I welcome the attempt. And you see Robin finishing off with a Delphinium, and she sends Big Mom stumbling throughout Onigashima. And you have, there goes Big Mom. But wait a second. And you have Robin just smiling, and Jinbei going, how was that? And he goes, wah, ha, ha, better than I imagined. She'll come back even angrier than before. And Jeff, what's Jinbei, First Son of the Sea, doing here? He's a former warlord. He's the captain of the Fisherman Pirates. He's like, thanks for the help, Jinbei. He's like, sure. Frankie goes, give me a status report, Commander Chopper. And you see on the inside as the Brachio tank's falling. And Chopper's like, Usopp, snap out of it. Frankie's calling in Usopp. He's like, you all good in there? He's like, it's docking time. And you see Queen is watching the kerfuffle as he sees Luffy on the little pergola roof thing below him. Luffy's like, I think I can get up from here. He's like, hey, Straw Hat! It's like, I can see the sky. He's like, gum gum? And he stretches his hands up as he's trying to get up. And you see the return of the Straw Hat greatest hits as, similar to Alabasta, Zoro has somehow found his way up to the top area with Queen, who's also staring at him in shock. He's like, oh, hey, Luffy. He's like, Zoro! He's like, where are you going? He's like, to Kaido. Zoro's like, I'll go with you. And just as he's going, like, Luffy's ready to launch himself, and Zoro's grabbing onto his feet. Queen's like, wait! And you see Rocket as Luffy launches himself up. He's like, okay, this should work. He's like, whoa, what are those huge creatures down there? He's like, and Kaido's up top? It's like, Kinemon and his gang are fighting up there too. And he's like, and a chomp as Queen goes into his Brachiosaurus form and grabs him with his mouth. Goes, not so fast! You idiots aren't going anywhere. And you see King flying in nearby with, I swear to God, that's a literal... Oh, no, that's not a pig, okay. Looks like a weird... I thought for a second it was a flying pig and I was about to lose it, but no, just some weird flying bear. I see a bunch of flying gifters also surrounding King as he's flying in. He's flying in and blocking the hole to the roof. And Zoro's like, doesn't seem like we can get up there at all. It's like they totally got this guy totally blocked off. And you see as Queen just spits them back down to the lower level. And you see, I don't know if Frankie hit the number with another radical beam or still recovering from the first one, but you see just flame around its head again as it seems to have been knocked out. And you see Brachio head change, like Black Rhino, stand by! As General Frankie's assembling. And yeah, it's no fair that there's only one rider, but it's so cool! Sadly, Shitji did not die from the hit, or even get badly injured. As he goes, did Momo manage to get away? It's like, ah, damn it, it annoys me how sturdy this stupid suit is. And you see a jockey went down as the number finally finishes falling, I assume. That was one hell of a slow fall. You have Commander Chopper used himself as bait, now he's fallen back to the ground. And so is the Straw Hat fellow. We're surrounded by the enemy on all sides. And Hyogoro goes, but strangely enough, I can't imagine losing. As you have, it's the Straw Hat coup, and Zoro's just like, just gotta get up as he's rolling up his sleeves. And you see another callback to Fishman Island as the Straw Hats are all getting together and posing. Yeah, I suppose that it doesn't have the same impact, if I'm being honest. And yeah, I guess this isn't going to be that easy. It's like, are all those flying devil fruits? It's like, okay, one more time. And Luffy's like, I'm going up to take out Kaido. You guys handle the rest. Watch my back. And you see Roz, like, we got this. And you see a Dadoom as you see the numbers blocking their way along with King and Queen just kind of glaring down at them. Next chapter hits September 13th. Felt like a relatively short chapter. I know it wasn't that short. It's still 17, 18 pages. Again, all the fighting double page spreads kind of did it. So quick thoughts, I guess. We'll do like the same as last time. I'll go through it kind of page by page from the beginning. I suppose the first thing is I'm glad Big Mom didn't turn back into Olin again, because that would have been a little bit frustrating and annoying. Although I can say I'm particularly happy with how she was treated this chapter either, despite that. And I'm still kind of annoyed and a little bit baffled by why Oda decided to bring Big Mom to Wano, build up this whole kind of thing of like, oh, we're facing off against two emperors of the seas. Like, oh, look at this like unforeseen threat, or like this formidable threat we're facing off against. Like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? And it's like, all right, if you're gonna build up this hype and this threat about how they're gonna face off against two emperors, how much of a threat this is gonna be, how much of a challenge it is, and then have the crew of one just like be like, oh, we're just gonna chill out by this waterfall forever and not actually participate, and then have Big Mom be turned into a joke where she's more of a plot device than an actual threat to this arc. Like, what is Oda's goal here? And this is, I think, where I kind of get into the thing of like, all these other YouTubers and fans are kind of talking about, oh, Big Mom's going down here. It's like, oh, Luffy's going to take down both the Emperors in Wano. Like, it's going to be unprecedented and all that. I'm like, to me, it seems very obvious that Oda's kind of stalling with Big Mom until he can get Kaido out of the way and then have Big Mom chase them to Elbaf to finish off her story. And like maybe I'm gonna be wrong about that because to me this is what all these stupid tactics of like, oh, Big Mom's getting smacked in the face, Big Mom's going on a rampage, getting distracted by Usopp, Big Mom's doing this, just feels like he's just diminishing her as a threat, kind of just pushing her out of the way because he doesn't know what to do with her right now. He doesn't want to deal with her arc of progressing her character in any meaningful way. So it's kind of annoying to get moments like this where it's like, oh, Big Mom's going to finally be a threat. And it's just like, nah, I'll just sweep her off to the side. But I'll get to that when we get to the other stuff with her later in this chapter. Again, reiterate, I don't know what the hell Oda's doing with Yamato and the whole, like, playing up the idea that Yamato's delusional about being Oden and, like, what his whole deal is. At this point, the gang surrounding it with like Shinobu and Momo like freaking out, being like, "What's wrong with this person?" Like, or like, did they have a few screws loose? Like, what's his deal? The jokes aren't really landing, I think, the way Oda thinks that they're landing, and I really want an explanation for what the hell Yamato's deal is, because at this point, that's also a thing that's like, all right, this is just getting super annoying. Him trying to withhold the secret for whatever reason. So I hopefully want an answer sooner rather than later for that. But I kind of was joking earlier, about semi-joking about how this chapter is kind of like the Straw Hat's greatest hits, where there's a lot of callbacks to, moments from prior arcs and prior chapters, which were super impactful when these things were done back then. But at this point, it's kind of lost the edge with the way Oda's kind of using it in this chapter. Like the perfect example being Frankie being like, "Oh, it's like, is Luffy going to be the king of the pirates? You can't be afraid of, an emperor of the sea," which is of course like a callback again to when Jinbei said that to Big Mom. Except the way it was framed with Jinbei and Big Mom was like at that point, it felt like the Straw Hats were actual underdogs. And when Jinbei did that declaration, it felt like it had more impact because of that feeling of, the Straw Hats are outmatched. They are the underdogs. They're fighting against uneven odds. And back at that time, it felt more impactful because it's the first time Jinbei was also making the declaration that, I'm going to be part of the Straw Hat crew. I'm going to make Luffy the king of the pirates. This is what I'm dedicating myself to. It had kind of that character moment backing it up. Whereas with Frankie, it seems like he's just saying it for the sake of saying it. Be like, oh, Oda's just like, oh, I need to have a badass line here. What am I going to say? What am I going to say? It's cool. I'll toss in the, go-to line of, do you want to make him the king of the pirates or not? And I think the reason it doesn't work here is there hasn't really been much of a significant threat with Kaido and his goons. Like, it doesn't feel like the Straw Hats are really facing insurmountable odds against Kaido and his crew. It feels like they're going through them too easily and they're not struggling enough for this line to have any kind of impact the way it's supposed to be. But yeah, I don't know. I can't explain it better than that except to say it feels like, again, Oda's going through the motions, but there's no real emotional backing to it. Like, it doesn't. Maybe that's just me not being as invested in the Straw Hats as I used to be and as like other fans are. Maybe that's why the impact is a lot less, but it just didn't do it for me. Which brings us to the numbers and the reveal that they're ancient giants. I think the only thing I liked about that is I've been theorizing for the longest time that Onigashima was modeled after Punk Hazard before the explosion Caesar set off. because Kaido wanted a place that reminded him of home. He was looking for that kind of nostalgia, and that's why you modeled, Onigashima to be like this artificial version of Punk Hazard, and like this whole thing of like him being an artificial creature. So I think this is kind of confirmation that Punk Hazard was his home, and he was probably held captive there when the Marines captured him, did experiments on him, and things like that. So it's good to kind of get confirmation on that. I honestly forgot ancient giants were a thing until they mentioned like the whole until Nami mentioned like their ore size and all that. I'm like, oh yeah, didn't one of the data books of the Viva card I think reveal that Ores was an ancient giant? And I know a lot of people have already speculated on this when they're like, oh, because they had the whole horned like ore symbol on Punk Hazard, maybe they're doing some kind of experiments with it. There, maybe Kaido's even part ancient giant or something like that. So Oda's obviously dropping hints for a potential backstory at some point. Potentially going to lay out what exactly ancient giants are, where they came from, all that. That's the fact that the ancient giants or the numbers look like their silhouettes, kind of confirming that they're probably just, ancient giants. They're not going to be awakened zones or anything like that. Is a little bit disappointing just because giants have been kind of nerfed in this series so far. Like, there's always been this thing where, like, oh, everyone wants a giant army. There's this experiment going on with gigantification because giants are these ruthless warriors. Long ago they ruled the seas and they're huge threats and everything like this. And every single giant we've seen in this series so far has been taken out so easily by any force that came against them. It really hasn't established giants as any kind of credible threat that should be like legitimately taken seriously or be afraid of in the One Piece universe. Even Ors himself, right? Like Ors got nerfed so badly in Marine for despite I like Ors, I love everything he did, but even he wasn't like a significant threat or advantage. Yeah, or he didn't give the pirates a significant advantage in the war against the Marines. So revealing that the numbers are actually just like ancient giants is like, okay, I guess, but and Frankie like supposedly taking one out so easily with a radical beam kind of also diminishes them as a threat. Where it's like, our Frankie's radical beam knocked one on its ass so easily. Am I really supposed to be scared about these guys like the Straw Hats going against them? And I'll get to the rest of that when we talk about the end, like about the with Hyogoro's line specifically. Apart from that, some good humor with the whole we're gonna do the docking and everything else, which kind of brings us to the Jinbei Robin team up, which I'm biased towards because Jinbei Robin I think is the one ship that I actually ship in One Piece. Like out of all the characters, those are the only two I ship together. Like no one else in the series do I ship together except for these two. So seeing them, teaming up and like Robin smirking at Jinbei and just having this good camaraderie and this little flirtation energy, I love all those moments. That's like that really works for me. But again, like making Big Mom into this giant joke where it's just like Jinbei just casually flips her and Robin just rolls her out and slams her into a wall. It's like, ha ha ha, Big Mom's like, yeah, we dealt with her, no big deal. She'll come back angry later, but that's fine. Like, it really is kind of telling how badly Oda's treating Big Mom and how much he's diminishing her as a threat compared to Kaido or any of the other emperors who have not been treated this bad. They're treated as being this much of a joke as the others were. So it's a little bit disappointing. There's just like, oh yeah, Big Mom's no big deal. We just flipped her and tossed her out, and she'll come back in later at some point. Like, I really hope Oda does more with her, but I honestly am not holding my breath for that. I think she's going to continue to be treated like a joke for the rest of this arc. So we'll see if everything else with her makes up for it. But yeah, what was I gonna say? Again, yeah, we kind of had a greatest hits moment. Again, with Zoro and like the Alabasta thing, where it's like, ha ha ha, Zoro managed to find his way to the right spot through sheer coincidence. And again, it feels like Oda's ticking off boxes. It doesn't really feel natural, like in the flow of things. It feels like Oda's like, oh, I need a comedy moment here. Sure, let's have this inserted in there. With that said, King and Queen, again, you could literally replace them, I think, with kind of riff on, the whole, what was it, the lampshade thing, where it's like, oh, if you can replace a female character with a lampshade and notice the difference, you're not doing a good job of writing said character. I feel like you could do the same for King and Queen at this point, where Queen's entire gag is just like, oh, I have, these reaction faces. Ha ha ha. Isn't it so funny how I freak out over every little thing? And King's just like, oh, I'm brooding and silent. And like, they don't really have any personality. They haven't really established themselves as any kind of threat. Like, even as much as I dislike Katakuri and how much he gets overhyped for, what he did, at least I'll say he at least had a distinctive style and personality when he's introduced in Whole Cake Island that kind of made him more intriguing, made you want to learn more about him, like what his deal was, and he had like a whole gimmick that kind of drew you into his character. It made you interested in learning more about him. Whereas with King and Queen, I'm not particularly interested in either of them as villains, either seeing them defeated or learning more about them or nothing. And I feel like it's the same thing. You could literally replace them with anything. You could replace them with a stick, and it wouldn't make a difference to any of these scenes, which I feel how underutilized they are. And I think that's why, especially this final scene with, the Straw Hat spread, where they're all like, oh, yeah, we're going to face this challenge and everything like that, doesn't have the same impact as it did on Fishman Island. Because despite what your feelings on Hody might have been in Fishman Island, I think, and like despite my misgivings on that arc overall now, I think that arc did a better job of making you invested in the struggles that the characters and the people of Fishman Island were going through, specifically, and why exactly, everything that Hody was doing was so reprehensible, especially when you got the reveal of, Hody, you find out that he's the one that killed Otohime, and you find out like everything he did, and then you have this moment, where everyone on Fishman Island is kind of calling out for the Straw Hats and saying, destroy the island, we don't really care about it, and then having them all pop out and do this epic pose. There was a lot more emotional kind of build up to that moment where it's like, yeah, now the heroes have shown up, shit's about to go down. Like, it felt like something epic was about to happen. And in this one, it again just feels like Oda's trying to pull that same kind of emotional response without doing any of the actual work to build it up and set it up. And I hate sounding like a broken record about this, and like I know I keep going on and on and on about it. But if Oda had just spent a little bit more time having the Straw Hats actually connect with the people of Wano, connect with their struggles in a more than superficial way, I feel like these scenes would have a lot more impact if you'd done more to flesh out Kaido and his goons and what we're fighting for, like why we want to see Kaido kind of taken down. Because at this point, it's kind of like it kind of feels like we're going with the idea of, oh, Kaido needs to be taken down just because he needs to be taken down. That's the way we have to go. It's the I don't want to say fetch quest, but in like a game, it's like, oh, you have to go defeat, the minions of the big guy before you go and find the golden chest or whatever. Brain's just fried right now. I can't think of the proper words. But I don't know. I don't feel anything seeing this Reddit thing just because I have been So I have lost my investment in the Straw Hats as characters in these past few arcs because it feels like they're going through the motions. They're like, oh, we have to go through these checkpoints, on the way to become Pirate King. It feels like they're going through the motions rather than being actual characters driven by, their own dreams, desires, goals, emotional investments, things like that. It feels like they're just being chess pieces moved around. And I hope that there's going to be a point in this where we see that turnaround. Uh, Quickly, just going to see Orly says, Big Mom being nerfed does really suck, but at the same time, I feel like she's been in story for too long at this point. Yeah, honestly, this is the other thing where I'm annoyed because a lot of people justify, Big Mom's role in Wano or in Whole Cake Island and being like, oh, it was okay for Oda not to end the arc there. We needed this like moment for her, let them get to get away because they had to know what loss felt like or all this other crap. Oda really should have ended Big Mom's arc on Whole Cake Island, or if he really is going to finish it off at Elbaf, he shouldn't have bought her to Wano and then been like, oh shit, I need her to get to Elbaf, and I thought bringing her to Wano would be a good idea, but oh crap, now I don't know what to do with her. It's like, oh, I have to figure something out. And him just kind of being like, oh, well, I need to kind of keep her there because I can't just shove her off to the side. He's like, oh, what do I do? And this feels like it's one of the drawbacks of doing the weekly format that Oda does, where he kind of has to think on his feet, make kind of split second decisions as he goes. Because if he makes the wrong one, he doesn't really have the option of going back and being like, oh, hey, shit, oh, no, damn, I screwed this up. Oh, it's okay, I can just rewrite it before the book publishes or whatever. He's like, he's already made that mistake, so now he has to kind of just keep pushing forward with it, try to make it better, if that makes sense. So on the one hand, I kind of sympathize with that. We're like, all right, yeah, he's got kind of screwed over by his format. At the same time, like it was his poor storytelling decisions that made him get stuck in this format. So my sympathy is kind of waffling there. But I honestly just hope she does something else by the end of this arc and kind of reestablishes herself as a threat. But like I said, no, I'm not really holding my breath on that. Which I think brings me to Hyogoro's lineup, but strangely enough, I can't imagine losing. And this is one of those things where I'm just like, all right, my first instinctual reaction is like, all right, this has got to be like confirmation that the Straw Hats are indeed going to lose because everything has been going way too well for them up to this point, and they need some kind of major loss, like a cold water shock to kind of bring them out of this a little bit of like an arrogant moment that they've been going through lately. Oh, I think that's what kind of rubbed me off with the Frankie moment in this chapter. Because it feels like the Straw Hats have been coming too overconfident and arrogant in this fight against the Emperors. And I mentioned this way, way back at the start of Wano when you see that when they'd heard that Luffy had gotten caught and tossed in Udon prison. And you had Robin and Usopp and I think Frankie just kind of casually eating soba and being like, oh, it's no big deal. Oh, Luffy will bust his way out. So I feel like the fact that they've been getting out of scrapes by the skin of their teeth and they haven't really faced any kind of significant consequence or take any kind of significant damage, a la, what happened to Zoro on Thriller Bark or what happened on Sabaudi. I feel like that's made them a little bit too overconfident in their abilities and how they're approaching the Emperors. And I've been kind of struggling with, is that something Oda's been deliberately doing as a storytelling mechanism, like kind of overplaying and upselling their overconfidence so that when he pulls the rug out from under their feet, it will land that much harder? Or is that just a coincidental thing? And because of, the whole, because even in a recent interview, he again kind of reiterated that he expects the series to end in 4 to 5 years. And people are kind of, again, over debating the validity of that. It's like, is the series really going to last that long? Is he really serious? There's so much left to do, all that kind of stuff. So I think that's what kind of tosses the doubt into I think that's the kind of things that tosses doubt, and this kind of makes you have to consider when deciding. All right, are they going to lose? Does Oda have the time for them to suffer a loss? For them to regroup, however long it takes, and then come back together and take Hokkaido after that. Once things happen, because I know someone asked me a couple of streams ago, what's the ticking clock plot device for this arc, similar to the birdcage, and I kind of said, it has to be, I think, the Day of the Dead, for reasons I kind of theorized about, and yeah, I think I'm going to stick with that, and also going to add, I don't think we've gotten to the ticking clock of this arc just yet. Because right now there isn't really any significant kind of deadline. There's no real pressure for them to finish this battle quickly, because of some kind of secondary, effect or whatever happening. If it turns out that Kaido's new Onigashima plan is to literally, take new Onigashima, dump it on the flower capital, and people are going to die, I could see that being a ticking clock, but I don't think we've seen that point yet. So I'm hoping Oda kind of rushes it to get to there. But yeah, I don't know. Honestly, it could go. Feel that my phone somewhere is ringing. Yeah, later. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I want to take this as confirmation that yes, the Straw Hats are going to lose. That's going to be the kick in the pants they need. That's going to finally spark kind of like the real emotional crux of this arc. But because of a certain someone kind of reiterating this idea that Oda doesn't like to be predictable, he wants to be surprising and all that crap, I could very well also see him, and because of his timeline of being like, I want to wrap up the series quickly, 4 to 5 years, I could see him just powering through and being like, no, screw it, this is the final arc. We've got the Straw Hat spread, similar to Enies Lobby, similar to Fishman Island, where they're all lined up. They're going to take out the threat. This really is signaling kind of the beginning of the end. If it is, I don't know. Oda's got a lot of work ahead of him, but I think it's too early right now to kind of say which direction it's going to go. But yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I'm just really, really hoping we get to something that makes me feel emotionally invested in this struggle that's going on. Because right now, it feels too easy. So there's no real tension or anything else reading this week to week, because it feels like they're just kind of flying through it. So I'm hoping chapter 1000 is building up to something, but who knows? I think that's all the thoughts I have in me for this chapter. My brain is completely scrambled right now, so I will cut it off there. This is something I was kind of debating whether or not I would do before I started recording. I think after reading this chapter, I might potentially actually do, is I think I'm going to let the next couple of chapters stack up and then do a stream to go through 4 or 5 chapters at once, because I feel like every week I kind of just reiterate that I'm waiting for a big moment to happen. I'm waiting for the plot to progress forward, because the fighting isn't really doing it for me these last few chapters. So I feel like rather than complaining every week that I'm waiting for something to happen, it might be a better idea for me to just wait until a couple of chapters stack up, so we can get a good progression of events, so I can have hopefully more to say about the arc and everything else, rather than just kind of reiterating prior points. Might change my mind depending on if anyone says that there's something significant happening in a chapter and you want my reaction to it, then let me know, and I'll definitely do a chapter reaction to an individual one if that happens. Barring that, though, I think I'm going to let chapters pile up until 995, and then I'll react to that stretch of chapters all at once. And then based on that, if it's the same thing again, then I might wait till chapter 1000 after that again, and then again wait, and then do chapters 996 to 1000 all at once. Let me know if that works for you or not. And with that said, I'm going to tie up the stream. Thank you all for coming in. Please like, comment, subscribe as always. Until next time, this is Ash. Talk to you later.